finish this last policy also, which is recently, which has become very popular in current insurance market. Earlier, for this policy is very much there for last 20-25 years, but nobody was using it. I'll tell you the reason also. This policy was designed long back, but it was it was not being used. But nowadays, because of high rates stipulated, imposed by GIC in respect of your STFI, especially for roads, this policy has become in demand, again have come in demand. Now, what it covers, this policy is designed to cover completed heavy civil engineering works. So civil engineering works which have been erected or completed, after then this policy can be taken. I have written a blog about this policy. You please can all can visit to my website VPNsopedia, and there under the blog section I have written a detailed note about this policy, CECR policy. Now it is given for different your constructed your civil engineering construction works, like your bridges, dry docks, harbors, jetties, railway lines, rockfill dams. This is one set of your completed risk where a particular rate is defined in tariff, lowest rate, I would say. Then another set is your concrete dam, little higher rate. So exposure is higher. Then third is your earthen dam. They can also be covered. Rate is still higher. Whether you follow those rates or not, I have taken it from the tariff in the same sequence of rating in the increasing order. Then your fourth category is canals, irrigation system, tunnels. Tunnels, they come under fourth category. Water reservoirs, weirs. Okay, all these things, they can be given this policy. But unfortunately, you will not find roads in this list. And nowadays, 90% of these policies, they are given for roads. Okay. It is also taken as completed civil engineering structure. But basically, road was not supposed to be covered under this policy. Your runways, airport runways, water pipelines, all these things, they can be covered. So these are the basic structures which can be covered under CECR policy. Now, policy coverage, what does it cover? Now you see, why this policy was not sold, because if you see, it is a name peril policy. It covers these perils. And you see, majority of the perils, other than this highlighted in red, everything is covered under your fire policy, standard fire policy. So people were not interested because minimum rates were 6 rupees that time. And your fire policy for your bridges, that was available for 1 rupee or 50 paisa. It was quite low in comparison to CECR policy. So people did not go for that. Now, if you compare with the standard fire policy, still people think that it is as good as fire policy. Yes, 90% it is fire policy. But these three things, this cover becomes wider than a standard fire policy. How? Impact damage by any railroad vehicle or animal, it is there. But here this word waterborne vehicle, it is not there under the standard fire policy. So CECR policy is wider because waterborne vehicles also come into coverage. So if the bridge is damaged due to a steamer or a ship, it is hitting the pillar while crossing under the bridge, a steam boat or your power boat or a ship, not very big ship, I am talking of small boats. If they hit, they damage the jetty, if they damage any construction, civil construction work, your bridges, your harbors, that kind of damage is covered under this policy. Then under this STFI perils, your wave action of water, this is very important. And that is why this policy becomes risky. People do not understand. Normally, if there is a possibility, wave action of water, if the bridge has become old and due to continuous wave action, like your sea link, Bandra Sea Link in Mumbai. In that case, if due to the continuous waves, heavy waves, if there is a damage and there is a collapse of bridge, it will not be paid under standard fire policy. But here, due to addition of this new peril, this damage to the bridge, it will be covered under CECR policy. Then last is your frost, avalanche, or ice. This is not there under fire policy. So in hilly terrain, if there is a constructed structure, if a road is there that is damaged due to avalanche, it will be covered under CECR, not under fire. Icing, if the bridge, heavy deposition of ice is there, and because of that load, the bridge collapses, it is covered. Okay. So that way, please understand, appreciate that this cover is broader than a standard fire policy. Now, why there is a requirement, I already explained in the beginning, because in this, there is no minimum fluxa rate because it does not come under the purview of IIB. So still you can give 90% discount on basic tariff rate, which is 6 rupees per mille or 7 rupees or 8 rupees or 10 rupees. It goes up to 10 or 11. So you can give 99% discount easily. So you become competitive. And but your GIC has brought this within the purview of your IIB rating so far as STFI rate is concerned. Initially, it was not done. So people were charging, initial few policies were issued with the very nominal rate, your minimum net cat rate. But later on, GIC realized their mistake and they said, no, same rate, STFI rate at par with road will be applicable on this CECR policies also. So from that angle, now we are at par, but still on Fluxa, you can give discount. Your basic rate, not Fluxa. Your basic tariff rate can be discounted. That is why this policy has become very popular. But it will fall under engineering treaty, not fire treaty. And in majority of the insurance companies, engineering treaty limit is lesser than fire treaty. So your capacity is limited. Let us see the exclusion. These are the exclusions. Your subterranean fire, loss or damage due to burning of property by order of public authority, right strike, malicious terrorism damage, RSMD. RSMD perils are covered, but loss by theft during or after occurrence of insured peril, that means RSMD is excluded except as provided in RSMD clause. RSMD clause, there is a certain perils which can be covered. So those are covered. Other than that it is excluded under the policy. Then loss or damage directly or indirectly caused by nuclear weapon, material, all these things are excluded. List of exclusion is continuing. Your radioactivity, nuclear fuel, all these ionizing, radiation, etc., they are not covered. Then damage due to war, invasion, foreign enemy, all these things. Your mutiny, civil commotion, these things, damage due to these operations, they are not covered. Then willful act, willful negligence, no policy covers that. So here again it is excluded. Then loss or damage, expenses or substantially aggravated by inherent defect. This is very important. So inherent defects are not covered. Loss or caused by or substantially aggravated, both things are not covered. Okay. If aggravated by inherent defects, this is also not paid. Now it is a very difficult task to establish. Now surveyors have to use expertise, their expertise, to establish whether the loss has caused because of inherent defect or wear and tear or gradual deterioration, expansion or contraction. This exclusion is not there under standard fire policy. Okay, so here it is added exclusion. Expansion or contraction of the item due to change in temperature. This kind of losses are not paid. Loss or damage caused by failure of insured to keep and maintain the insured item in a thorough state of repairs. This is again not a condition in fire policy. Here it is there. I have highlighted these conditions. Please understand. So any loss caused by failure of the insured, again, it is a disputable thing. Insured will say, I have maintained the item in up-to-date condition. That means a bridge is supposed to be covered in a proper state of repairs throughout the period of the policy. Then only the losses will be paid. So periodic repair has to be continued, has to be maintained, carried out by the insured. Consequential loss is not paid. Any loss suffered by the insured during the first 15 days. Now, this is another condition, like your STFI peril. If STFI peril is taken midway, mid-term inclusion of STFI peril, then we don't pay. We put a waiting period of 15 days. Same thing is applicable in fire. Say, for example, insured is purchasing a policy during monsoon season for the first time, and it is not a continuity of cover. In that case, waiting period of 15 days is applied by most of the insurance companies. Here also, the policy attracts this waiting period of 15 days unless it is a renewal of previous policy. Suppose there was a policy, you see, this condition shall not apply. So that means this waiting period will not apply in case the property having been covered with any other insurance company, Indian insurance company, this word in Indian is very important, for a continuous period of 12 months preceding without a break. So prior to this taking this policy, if the policy was already there by any of the insurance company and there is no break in insurance, then this waiting period will not apply. Okay, this is very, very important. Now, basis of indemnity, the same thing, we will pay, insured will pay, our insurance company will pay value of property at the time of happening of its destruction to reinstate it back to the same condition where you were, okay, or replace such part or any part thereof, provided the liability of the company in no case shall exceed the total sum insured of the property. Again, the same thing. Everywhere I am highlighting this condition, in everywhere you will find this condition that liability of the company shall not exceed the total sum insured of the property. Now, if it is up to you whether you interpret it, if you want to pay over and above that, you pay, fine. But your policy does not allow that. Policy excess is 10% of sum insured subject to minimum of 1 lakh. This is the old tariff excess which is defined in the tariff. Now, insurance, it is left to the insurance company whether you keep it 1 lakh or you make it 5 lakhs or you make it 10 lakhs. It is up to the insurance company because you are into free market. Okay, this is all about CECR policy. Let us see regarding sum insured. Sum insured is again the same thing. It has to be replacement cost. Okay, as on date of loss by new items of same kind, inclusive of all material, wage, freight, custom duty and dues. And add-on covers is your clearance and removal of debris. So on payment, this is slightly different than your normal removal of debris clause. It says on payment of additional premium. That means it does not come free of cost. Whether you allow free, it is up to you. But tariff says it comes with payment of additional premium. The policy shall be extended to include clearance of debris forming a part of the insured item. This is one thing. And including the cost of removal or demolition of any portion. So this demolition cost will also come under this clearance of debris and removal. So demolition of any of the portion of insured item which is no longer useful for the purpose for which it was intended. So if something is to be demolished, that will also be covered under this add-on cover.